This is KVUE News Daybreak.
President Trump's expected to get yet another foreign policy test this weekend. I'm Maggie Rulli, and we'll have the latest from Washington coming up.
A live look at I-35 this Good Friday morning. It's one of the busiest highways in the state of Texas. But this morning, growing outrage why we could soon have tolls on I-35.
And it's no secret Austin is growing. What City Council agreed on last night, that's expected to help combat Austin's housing crunch.
Good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us for KVUE News Daybreak. It is 6 a.m. I'm Brian Mays.
And I'm Yvonne Nava. It is Friday, April 14th. And Avid Reyes is following our traffic, but let's get a check on our weather first with Erica Lopez.
All right, guys, dense fog is going to be an issue this morning. We have plenty of it for the eastern counties. Take a look at the visibility right now for Fayette County and then also creeping into Travis County. So Austin, heads up for that for your rush hour commute. I'm giving you guys the yellow light because of the patchy fog that could be an issue. Hey, partly cloudy skies in our forecast today. That means our daytime high temperatures will be a little bit warmer than where we have been. I think we'll top out in the lower 80s for the majority of us. That's going to be the case for Saturday also. Here's a look at your Sunday eastern forecast. We're keeping an eye on a slight 20% chance of some rain shower activity. Highs will be in the lower 80s, but mostly cloudy skies are expected. And Aviv has a look at the roads this morning. How's our Friday commute?
All right, well, pretty busy morning. We're still monitoring a traffic accident here at I-35 in Wells Branch Parkway. So if you are heading northbound, this is definitely going to affect you. Now, Steiner Ranch commuters, take a look at this. This is an accident on Scenic Overlook Trail at RM 620. So if you're traveling and trying to get to 183, this might back you up. Now also take a look at this closure. This is happening between 183 and Ross Road between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. today. Now this is going to affect the eastbound and westbound lanes. All right, guys, back to you at the desk.
And Aviv, thanks a lot. We're wrapping up a week of foreign policy action for President Donald Trump. 1 week ago, the president ordered that missile strike on Syria. The Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, was in Russia for meetings in Moscow just a couple of days ago. And now word that the United States has dropped a massive bomb in Afghanistan. But as Maggie Rulli reports, all eyes are now on North Korea.
It's President Trump's latest foreign policy threat, dealing with the fallout from an expected nuclear weapons test in North Korea, which could occur as soon as this weekend.
North Korea is a problem. The problem will be taken care of.
North Korea's got to change its behavior.
The time for action is now.
America's top military leaders say North Korea's increasing pace of missile tests in the past 6 months have made the situation urgent. According to monitors, the latest satellite images show a North Korean nuclear test site primed and ready for a launch. We're expecting it Saturday as the nation prepares to celebrate the anniversary of the birth of the nation's founder, their eternal president. The U.S. is countering with a show of military strength, moving an aircraft carrier strike group into position near North Korea. And in what may have been a not-so-subtle warning to the Hermit Kingdom, the use of this massive 22,000-pound bomb, nicknamed the mother of all bombs. It's the biggest non-nuclear weapon ever used in combat by the United States. On Thursday, the U.S. dropped it on eastern Afghanistan, targeting an ISIS cave complex.
This was another very, very successful mission.
A Pentagon official tells ABC News it was the right weapon, the right target, and the desired effect. Experts say there may have been a secondary effect, sending a signal to America's enemies.
The message to them is that no matter how much you hide, no matter how deep you dig, we can still get you.
In a response, North Korea's vice foreign minister blames the United States for making things more complicated and says Washington has become, quote, more vicious and more aggressive since President Trump took power. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Washington.
Well, President Donald Trump is taking steps to block funding to Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. He signed a bill that would no longer require states to distribute federal dollars for family planning services to health providers, whether they perform abortions or not. The White House says it wants states to decide what's best. Critics are calling the move an attack on women.
This morning, we know where the first new immigration detention center under the Trump administration will be located. A private prison company has received a $110 million federal contract to build the facility in Conroe, north of Houston. The center coincides with President Trump's promised expansion of immigration detention centers and his crackdown on immigrants into the country, entering here and staying here illegally. It's scheduled to open in December of 2018. Texas lawmakers working to take on the federal government. Yesterday, the House Committee on State and Federal Power and Responsibility discussed 4 bills related to a convention of states. Here's what that means. If 34 states decide to band together, they can add amendments to the Constitution. The goal would be amendments that would require Congress to pass a balanced budget, create term limits for members of Congress, and limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. Opponents say it could send the country down a slippery slope.
The original thing that created our Constitution was done in a vacuum with very highly intelligent people who were not necessarily politically motivated, but motivated by from a sense of duty.
Now, it will take 34 states signing on to call the convention. Only 8 are on board so far.
Well, the House committee is considering legislation that would authorize up to 18 toll projects across the state, including toll lanes on I-35. They discussed the bill during a hearing on Wednesday. According to our partners at the Statesman, the bill authorizes TxDOT to build toll lanes on I-35 from RM 1431 in Round Rock to Texas 45 southeast near Buda. The bill would allow regional toll agencies to do a dozen more projects, and that list includes the proposed tollways on US 290 in Oak Hill and South Mopac. Lawmakers have not yet scheduled when to vote on the measure.
It was a busy night for Austin City Council as members approved multiple plans that could bring even more people to Austin. The plans also hope to give more options to people already living here. KVUE's Corey Coffin joins us now live from the newsroom with a wrap-up of everything you need to know. Hello, Corey.
Well, Brian, good morning to you. City Council's goal to add more housing to bring prices down and keep it affordable here in Austin. Last night, members approved its housing plan known as the Strategic Housing Blueprint. According to our partners at the Statesman, the document calls for constructing another 135,000 housing units in the city by 2025. It offers more than 50 suggestions to help combat Austin's housing crunch. Those include calls to revamp the city's permitting process and purchasing unused land to preserve it for affordable housing projects. And we'll certainly need it. Travis County expected to add about 500,000 people by 2050 to nearly 1.6 million. And City Council also approved one of the more controversial zoning cases in recent years, Austin Oaks. It's a 1 million square foot planned unit development at Spicewood Springs and Mopac. Now, in place of the small office park, 500 units will be built. At least 10% will be affordable housing. Finally, last night, councilors voted to spend up to $600,000 to relocate residents in a rundown East Austin apartment complex. A report found that the landlord hasn't been making some much needed repairs at apartments on East 52nd. The landlord does refute those claims, though. He says he's fighting it in court today. But if nothing changes, tenants will be moved and their rent subsidized to match what they're currently paying. The city will help with all that. Live in the newsroom, I'm Corey Coffin. Guys, back to you.
Corey, thank you. Speaking of City Council, they also approved the I-35 underpass lighting project, not underpants, underpass. This project calls for more lighting under the interstate, particularly between East Cesar Chavez and East 12th Street. The goal to improve driver safety in that area.
A Williamson County sheriff is taking a unique approach to solve a heartbreaking cold case. Rachel Cook was last seen 15 years ago when she went out for a jog near her parents' Georgetown home. Sheriff Robert Chody is determined to solve this case, along with about 10 other unsolved and missing person cases. He's assembling a team of retired homicide investigators to try and figure out the truth and bring peace to families who've waited so many years for answers. Cook's mother hopes this unique approach will help solve her daughter's case.
I get up with it and I go to bed with it. I even dream about it.
They deserve some type of answer that allows them to believe that we haven't given up, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Well, the members of this investigative team will actually work on a volunteer basis instead of a salary. They'll serve as reservists.
More trouble for United Airlines. According to the airline, a passenger was stung by what appeared to be a scorpion during a flight. It happened on a flight from Houston to Calgary, Canada last week. Passenger says the creature fell from an overhead bin, landed in his hair. United says its crew immediately got into contact with a doctor on the ground for guidance. Medical personnel on the ground said the sting was not life-threatening and the passenger is okay. I don't know how they could determine all that just over the phone, but we'll go with it. Today is, of course, Good Friday. Millions of people celebrating this religious holiday. To mark the event, hundreds of Austin Christians will go on a 9-mile pilgrimage, walking across the city from St. Mary's Cathedral to the Marian Shrine in West Austin. The pilgrimage begins at 12:30 today.
Swimmers planning to take a dip in Barton Springs Pool will need to reschedule this weekend. It's closed because of flooding from heavy rain this week. Deep Eddy Pool will open at 6 a.m. to accommodate swimmers while Barton Springs is closed. No word yet on when it will reopen. As far as the weather, whether you want to go just swimming in general, do you think that the weather's going to be nice and warm?
Nice and warm, and actually you'll probably want to dip in the water because it's going to be muggy also. So muggy we're actually having plenty of dense fog in our region right now, mainly for the eastern counties. Check out Fayette County, half a mile of visibility. Keep that in mind if you're commuting for eastern counties. We're in the clear for the Austin metro area. I'll keep you guys updated if that dense fog does begin to accumulate in our region. Temperatures right now are in the mid to upper 60s. Here's a look at your next 12 hours. By lunchtime, we should be in the lower 70s, and decreasing clouds are expected in our forecast. So I think we're going to have a partly cloudy afternoon. That'll give us some sunshine, something we haven't seen in quite a while here in the Austin metro area. I'm also talking about your Easter forecast. I'll chat about that and what you can expect in your full forecast. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you. An Arizona teenager making history today. Becca Longo is the first female football player to ever sign a letter of intent with a Division I or Division II school. Becca has signed with Adams State University in Colorado. That's a D2 school. She can handle field goals from 45 yards out. That's pretty good, right?
Good for her. She's got a strong leg. What a good kicker.
There we go.
Well, it was just a hot holiday gift, but now it might be on its way out.
And unfortunately, we're not talking about hoverboards. The popular item that had people waiting in line, that's now being discontinued. Oh, I wanted to get this one. Remember, we didn't have enough. They weren't enough, or didn't want to wait in line.
There weren't many of them.
Yeah.
2 Georgia police officers fired this morning after shocking video. What their chief is saying about it, and the surprising person who alerted the department of the incident in the first place.